What is good, everyone? My name is Subi, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how to rank up in Valorant without the use of any aim trainers at all. So before I begin the actual guide, I'd just like to preface it by saying that this video won't get you to Radiant in a month. Like, if you're fucking Iron, right, you're not gonna get to Radiant in a month. Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. But what I'm trying to say is you don't really need aim trainers to rank up or even get to those high ranks in the first place. Like, sure, it'd be cool to aim train and, use aim labs to help you get to Radiant, but you don't always need it. It'll help you, but it's not necessary to actually rank up. So here are my credentials. As you can see, I've been Radiant since episode 1, act 2, and if you've seen my previous how to rank up video, you'd know that I used a bit of aim lab, specifically grid shot, when I was trying to rank up. But I don't think that was the main reason why my aim got good. The main reason I was able to climb from Diamond to Radiant so quickly wasn't because of the aim trainers. In fact, it was because of the 3-step formula that I talked about in my previous video. The 3-step plan that I'm talking about is number 1, establish an aim train routine, number 2, expand your knowledge, and number 3, stay consistent. And before you guys jump at me saying, wow, I thought you said no aim training, Subi, what are you talking about? Well, let's go into number 1 in a bit more detail. So by establishing an aim train routine, I don't really mean, going on aim labs, doing all that stuff. The aim training that I'm talking about can be done all in game through deathmatch and the range. Let's first dive deep into how we can use deathmatch to create a simple yet effective aim train routine. Oftentimes, when I'm deathmatching, I see people hiding in corners playing to win the DM. But by playing only to win the DM, you aren't actually going to improve because you're going to be so focused on winning the game rather than refining your own gameplay. To prevent this, what I want you to do is turn off your audio or make it very quiet. Then, I want you to pick one specific area you want to improve upon. Well, a lot of you are probably wondering what area you need to improve upon. Well, let's break it down with this simple chart. If you're in the range of Iron to Gold, the main thing you should focus on is crosshair placement. If you're in Platinum to Diamond, you should focus on micro adjustments and tracking. And finally, if you're Immortal Plus, you should work on all those mechanics I just listed and also work on other mechanics like spraying and tapping. Now, I'm going to go into detail on each single skill. So, the first thing I mentioned is crosshair placement, and I don't want to be, those cliche guide channels who are like, alright guys, let's aim at head level, always try to get a headshot. Like, no, fuck that. Like, that's the stupidest, most generic bullshit you'll ever hear. When I say crosshair placement, I want you to work on pre-aiming angles, knowing where to aim, and understanding the map. Crosshair placement is way more than just aiming at the head and shooting. You have to have map awareness, you gotta know the common angles. Like, anyone can aim at head level, that's not the problem. The main thing is, you should use deathmatch to practice pre-aiming these common angles so that when you're in an actual ranked game, you'll know where to aim and what angles to clear. So let me show you an example of what I mean. So here, you can see that I'm practicing my crosshair placement by pre-aiming each and every single angle. This probably seems really stupid considering in deathmatch, you don't need to clear each and every single angle, but it's a good habit to start developing. So now let's talk about micro adjustments and tracking. If you don't already know, micro adjustments and tracking refer to how you move the mouse around the enemy. For example, let's say you peek an angle and your crosshair is slightly off the enemy. The adjustment you make with your crosshair to put it back on the enemy is known as a micro adjustment. Tracking is when you are shooting or spraying at an enemy and you want to make sure your crosshair is on the enemy at all times. In order to practice these techniques, we can utilize both the range and deathmatch. Using the range, we can practice our micro adjustments through shooting the bots in the skills tests. You guys should choose between easy, medium, or hard based on your personal skill. Personally, I use hard, but you guys should use whatever feels comfortable. And what I want you to do is, every time the target resets, I want you to move your crosshair back to the center of your screen. Why, you may ask? Well, it's because if you move your crosshair back to the center of your screen, you're going to always have to flick to kill the targets. And by always flicking, you're going to start developing your micro adjustments more and more as you do it more. For our tracking, we can practice this in the range by going up to any one of the bots you see on your screen and focusing on keeping your crosshair on the bot's head while moving around in circles and moving back and forth. This allows you to get more acquainted with whatever sensitivity you're using, because you're going to be moving in all sorts of weird directions, and by keeping your crosshair on the bot's head at all times, you're going to get more control of your sensitivity, which is extremely crucial in winning your gunfights. Finally, we have spraying and tapping, the flashy aim that everyone always wants. It's important to note that you should master crosshair placement and tracking before you move on to this, because if you don't, well, it won't work out too well. For spraying and tapping, we can once again both utilize the range and deathmatch to enhance our sprays and taps. For example, in the range, we can practice tapping bot to bot as I'm doing here, and you can also practice spraying and spray transferring with the bots as I'm doing here. You can further enhance this by going into deathmatch and practicing each style of gameplay. For example, I can load into a deathmatch and decide, okay, I'm going to go tapping only for this entire deathmatch and I'm going to stick to that. Or I can decide, hey, I'm going to practice my spray and I'm only going to spray this deathmatch. It's important that before you go into each deathmatch, you have a technique selected and that you stay consistent with that technique throughout the entire deathmatch. Now that we're done with aim training, which is the first step of our 3-step plan, we're going to go ahead and talk about the second step, which is expanding your knowledge. To develop your game sense, you have to do 2 things. The first is, obviously, play the game more. When I say start playing the game more, I don't mean just spam Q ranked endlessly all day. That's boring as fuck and you're not going to get anything out of it. Instead, when you play ranked, you have to start picking up on what's working and what's not and start learning from your teammates. When I was Diamond, I'd always record my games and I'd look back at my deaths or at important rounds and think, what could I have done differently? The second way to grow your game sense is through coaching and watching pro play. I recently discovered epal.gg, which seemed like a great platform to focus on coaching and ranking up for Valorant. In order to get registered and start getting coached through epal, first type in epal.gg in your browser. Then, to create an account, hover over to the top right of your screen and click sign up and enter your information. Once you're registered, you want to hover over to the game section on the left hand of your screen and scroll down until you see Valorant and click on it. Then, towards the middle of your screen, you'll see a coach button. Click on it and you'll see all the available coaches for Valorant. So after scrolling through the coaching page for a while, I saw a lot of familiar names that I've seen in Immortal and Radiant Elo. Because of this, I decided, fuck it, why not interview one of these coaches to see what they have to offer and to tell you guys if they're worth your money and time or not. You can use the filters feature on the coaching page to pick out from all the coaches on epal based on your preferences. For example, you can choose the location, the age, the gender. You can do all of that just to find the coach that you want. I chose to find a coach who was from the United States and who was also Radiant. Upon doing so, I immediately recognized one of the coaches, whose name was Extra Wired. I've ran into him in rank before and I knew he was a good player, so I decided, might as well interview him to see if he's worth your time or not. What is good, my boy, Extra Wired? So, before we begin, can you please tell me why you chose epal and what's so good about it?
epal is a gaming education platform where gamers of all experiences can come and learn about their favorite games with guidance from professional players. As a streamer and a coach, my favorite aspects about epal is the opportunity to meet large variety of gamers that share common interests with me and help them get to the next level of gaming through my experiences.
Alright, cool. So, can you tell me about the type of players you coach and what exactly you do to help out these players?
Many of the players that I generally coach play the game at a very intermediate level. From each player, I first deduct their general knowledge of the game and assess the help that individual need to improve. Among the many tips I provide to my mentee includes how to aim, counter-strafe, and better interpret the current situation to help their team win the round. Of many players that I coach, I usually find mentees that I guide range from bronze to gold elo.
I fuck with it. So, do you have anything that separates you from all those other coaches? And do you have anything you want to tell my viewers?
A specific player that I coach went as far as promoting to Immortal from gold. The individual first came to me with a well-rounded knowledge of the game. However, with my help, he was able to refine his movement, aim, and game sense as it progressed. Although in-game skills are necessary, an important trait I often remind players to cultivate is to keep a positive mindset throughout their games, whether they're performing well or not. I love interacting with players and viewers at any gaming level. With the right guidance, anybody can become better at the game. I would like to help you guys get there. I'm Extra Wired, an avid gamer, and a professional coach on epal.
That's my guy right there, yo. That's my coach right there. In all honesty, this guy really knows what he's talking about. I used to coach a lot of players way back when, and I honestly see a lot of the things I do in him. Keep in mind, this is one of many different coaches on EPAL, and there's a huge variety to choose from. Some of the coaches are even free. Like, what? In addition to getting third-party coaching, VOD reviewing other streamers is also extremely important in growing your game sense. Looking at other high elo streamers who are in Immortal and Radiant and analyzing what they're doing and why they're doing it is an important part in growing your game sense. For example, you can go through EPAL's streaming section and find Immortal or Radiant streamers who are live right now, and you can go to their chat and ask them why they're making those decisions and what is going through their head. Another thing I'd like to say about furthering your in-game knowledge that goes beyond, just getting coached and VOD reviewing is one-tricking Viper. I know you don't really hear this often, but trust me, one-tricking Viper and learning her lineups are a great way to secure the round for your team, especially on the attacking side. Like, look at this little conniving cringe motherfucker, bro. Like, look at his little ass just sitting in spawn throw lineups. Like, what the fuck, bro? With Viper, as long as your team can securely get the bomb down, you can use lineups to basically make defusing impossible. I've seen so many bad Immortal players who have just one-tricked Viper all the way here, even in Radiant. Like, all they'll say is, "Guys, just get the bomb down, I have lineups." And then they'll just go play their lineups, and they just have the shittiest aim ever. Granted, this requires some teamwork, but if you're in the lower elos, you can still make this work as long as you have a stack to queue with. The final tip in this video of the 3-step formula is staying consistent. Staying consistent isn't just about staying consistent in game. It's about staying consistent in-game and staying consistent with your mentality. I know this is super cliche, blah blah blah, stay positive, but trust me, it goes a long way. First of all, I want you guys to find settings that you want to play. Stop coming to YouTubers or Twitch streamers chats and saying, "Hey, what are your settings? What is your sense? Blah blah blah." Like, instead, you should go in the range, go deathmatch, find a sense that works for you. One thing I noticed is that a lot of new players play an extremely high sense that is way too fast. What you want to do is go to the range and, flick around the bots, start tracing the bots like I showed earlier, and feel for a sense that feels right. Once you find the settings you like, I want you to stay consistent on those settings and stop switching it. Even if you have a bad game, even if you're missing your shots horribly, I don't want you to change it. Changing your settings is just going to reset the progress that you've made. Another thing is staying consistent with your mentality. It's important to always keep a positive mindset and not let a couple bad games get in your way. A lot of my friends, who I won't name, I die! They let their mentality get to them and they always, rage queue ranked. They do all these things that make them lose. And trust me, it's not worth it. If you're ever feeling down or tilted, just know it's okay and just take a break. It all happens. It happens to me. It happens to Nabil. It happens to everyone. Getting good and getting sick aim and ranking up isn't just an instant process. It's a journey. And with this journey, you're going to have ups and downs. And whenever you're at these downs, I want you to have a clear mind like I said earlier. Think about the bigger picture. Think about your end result and use that to motivate you. But in the end of the day, motivation isn't going to get you the skill that you want. It's discipline. And if all else fails, go to twitch.tv and find the player you're playing against and start stream sniping. Anyways guys, that's pretty much the end of the video. To recap, remember, work on your mechanics through deathmatch and the range, work on your game sense, and stay consistent with your settings and your mentality. I honestly think that EPAL is a great tool for you guys to use, and I strongly suggest you use it. And a lot of the coaches on there are free too, so you should definitely check it out. You can honestly use EPAL to get coached, you could use it to watch streams. There's so many different things you can do on EPAL that can help you ultimately rank up and get better at Valorant and even make friends. I'll go ahead and drop the links for EPAL in the description alongside ExtraWired's links if you want to go check them out. I strongly suggest you buy a coaching package from ExtraWired. He's really good, and I promise you'll be getting the highest quality coaching out there.